Well, remember that hero cop that was gunned down in Fox Lake, Illinois? Well, as you may have heard now, yes, he actually killed himself, brought great shame on his legacy and even his family. They are now under criminal investigation. John Cass, writing for the Chicago Tribune, echoes my feelings about Charles Joseph Glinowitz, or they call him G.I. Joe. This column echoes my feelings quite nicely. In the column, he says, Hero G.I. Joe turns out, it's called Hero G.I. Joe turns out to be the bad lieutenant. My friends, so far, you know how much this investigation has cost taxpayers? $300,000. Now, when all that took place, the amount of manpower that descended on Fox Lake, Illinois, the amount of news coverage that was focused on that area, now, for nothing. For nothing. Charles Joseph Glinowitz, this is the column now, Charles Joseph Glinowitz was the bad lieutenant. He was the hero shot down by criminals. Though he was eulogized as one in Fox Lake in September, with hundreds of police officers from across the country paying their respects at the funeral of the stand-up family man they called G.I. Joe. So here's the thing about heroes, the column continues. They don't steal from children and then spend that money on internet porn. And heroes don't make threats about putting a village official in the local bog when the official starts poking around into where the money went. Heroes don't meticulously plan a suicide when they're about to be found out and make it look like a murder in the process, even taking out more money from the public with a costly manhunt for killers who didn't even exist. Heroes don't do any of that, but that's what the bad lieutenant did. So even in death, Joseph Glinowitz was a thief and not a hero. Quote, "This is the first time as a law enforcement officer that I felt ashamed by the acts of another police officer," said George Filenko, head of the task force, at a news conference on Wednesday. Glinowitz committed the ultimate betrayal to the citizens he served and the entire law enforcement community. It was artfully done, though, they said. And the column continues, because after dragging its feet for weeks, even to the point of refusing to say whether Glinowitz was shot with his own gun, Filenko's task force announced finally that the lieutenant's death was a suicide. Glinowitz shot himself twice in an amazing expression of will and planning. The last shot just under the top of his vest to blow out an artery, giving him seconds to toss the gun 2.5 feet from his body. He carefully planted equipment like his baton to make it look like a chase. Now, the story in the columns continues. He apparently embezzled money from the local police explorer club that he ran, and he stole the money from kids who put their faith in him. What a shame. I wonder what police officers are saying now. The whole Black Lives Matter movement, the Blue Lives Matter movement, all these people, standing on either side of the fence of law enforcement or not, all the videos coming to surface of police brutality and citizens being murdered for selling cigarettes on the street, all these things happening across the country, and then this. All the people coming to stand at this guy's graveside and cry and honor him as a hero, only to find out that he is casting shame and disgrace upon all police officers across the United States, only putting a spotlight on the corruption capable of police. It's an absolutely disgusting display and abuse of power. If you're a police officer and you're watching this right now, what does this officer and his story, how is it affecting you as a police officer in the field? I mean, people already have a distrust of government. I mean, polls across the country are showing that it's not terrorism people are afraid of. People are concerned and they're afraid of government corruption. And this guy, G.I. Joe, has now put a spotlight on that even more so. to the point where he faked his own death with a double tap. The first shot hit him. He shot himself in the chest with his own gun, using taxpayer-bought bullets, no doubt. And then he shoots himself in an artery and then tosses his gun in a carefully staged operation. And now he's brought great shame upon his family now. His family's under criminal investigation. For what? For what? For shame. So shame on you, Glinowitz, for doing what you did, stealing from the children, casting even more shame upon police officers across this nation. Well, all I can say is one more corrupt cop off the street. And thank God for that. Leave your comments on this story below. Tell a friend about it. For the Next News Network, I'm Gary Franchi.